My family is blaming me for a fight after my half-brother destroyed pictures of my mom, plus updates. Original post. So, a bit of backstory. I, 16 male, recently moved in with my dad, 47 male, after my mom died. Dad's never really been in my life, and he and my mom were never married. He has a wife, Susan, 48 female, and 2 other kids, Amy, 14 female, and Mark, 18 male. So, when I ended up moving in with my dad, it obviously caused a lot of issues with the rest of the family. Nobody wanted me there, and basically gave me the cold shoulder. Susan, Mark, and Amy tend to talk with each other in French because they know that I can't understand them. And my dad has tried to force an English-only rule in the house with a little luck. For the first month, Mark just ignored me completely, even though he and I were forced to share a room since the house didn't have any space. I tried to be nice, but I just lost my mom and it hurts. And it's been so much changed so quickly. 2 days ago, though, I found postcards and pictures and letters from my mom ripped into a bunch of pieces and scattered all across my bed. I kept them in a box under my bed, and Mark had been the only one in the house with me at the time, so I know he did it. I started yelling at him, and we ended up verbally fighting right as Susan and Amy got back home. I can't remember what Mark said anymore because I was so mad that I wasn't thinking straight, but I remember hitting him. We both exchanged a couple of punches, and I accidentally elbowed Amy in the nose while she and Susan were trying to separate us, so she was bleeding too. When my dad got home, we were still yelling, and Susan was trying to throw me out of the house. I couldn't stop crying because I just had my only actual photos of my mom ruined and I don't know if we can fix them. My dad tried to settle everyone down, but didn't end up punishing Mark because there's no actual proof that he did it. I got in trouble for throwing the first punch though, and Susan is still trying to convince my dad to send me somewhere else. Both Amy and Mark keep telling me that I ruined their family by coming here, but I didn't really have a choice. I know I shouldn't have hit him, but I was so mad I didn't think. I know I shouldn't have escalated anything, but am I really the one at fault here? I don't know how I'm supposed to live with Mark anymore. Now for the top advice before reading the update. These parents need to hold somebody accountable because obviously your pictures did just rip themselves up. You're right that you shouldn't have hit your half-brother, but assuming that your mom passed away rather recently, you're in grief. So it's not unreasonable that you'd be upset by this. I'm sorry this happened to you. That's a truly awful thing to discover. It's been about 2.5 months and it was really sudden. My mom and I were really close, and I think I've seen my dad twice before I had to go live with him and not for almost a decade. I know I still have recent pictures on my phone, but it's not the same. From what I've figured out, Susan knew about the affair but didn't know about me until my mom died. Amy and Mark didn't know about the affair at all. They're mad at me for existing, but they're also really upset with my dad for good reason. I don't have any family on my mom's side that can take me in, and my dad lives in a different country than my mom and I lived in before. So we're not close to anyone I used to know. I just don't know how to tell my dad how isolated I feel without sounding ungrateful for him being able to take me in after my mom died. Yeah, I can only imagine how hard everything is right now. Your whole life has basically been flipped upside down. Is there anyone on your mom's side you could talk to? Maybe even live with for a few years until you're old enough to get your own place? I think that would be worth exploring, to get yourself out of this environment that doesn't seem to be getting off on the right foot. It's just my grandparents on my mom's side, and they basically disowned her because my dad was married to his wife when my mom got pregnant. They're very religious, and I haven't had any contact with them since I was born. They didn't even come to our funeral. Now for the first update. So I've posted about this in here before, but things have gotten worse and I feel like I don't know how to navigate it. It's been about 6 months since I, 16 male, had to move in with my dad, 47 male, and his family after my mom died, and I still feel like his wife and my half-siblings despise me just for being there. The issue of my mom's pictures getting destroyed turned what was already a crappy situation into something that is just killing me. I ended up sleeping on the couch for almost 2 months because I couldn't stand the sight of my half-brother Mark, 18 male, after what he did to my stuff, and started carrying a backpack around the house with anything personal that I had brought from my mom's apartment wherever I went, so nothing else could be damaged. Mark ended up apologizing to me, but it seemed more of a show for my dad than an actual apology to me. My dad's wife, Susan, 48 female, and my half-sister Amy, now 15 female, still barely acknowledged me and still almost exclusively used French in the house, which I'm only now starting to pick up words in conversation for. I've always felt like a stranger in this house, and while I understand why they don't want me around, I don't know what I can do to try and make things work. The worst of it came 3 weeks ago when I lost my keys to the house and got stuck out in the rain after I came home. I tried calling my dad, but he didn't pick up, and I rang the doorbell as many times as I could because I saw Susan's car outside the house, so I know she was home. There wasn't much close by us, so I couldn't walk anywhere to wait. By the time my dad got home an hour and a half later, I was soaked and cold, and when we got inside, Susan just said that she was on a call and couldn't hear the doorbell ringing. I couldn't even talk to her and just went upstairs and cried in the bathroom before going to bed. My dad apologized later for not seeing my message sooner, but that's not really the issue here. I feel sick living here and can barely eat or sleep half the time. My grades are tanking and I don't feel like I can talk to anyone. I miss my mom, and everyone is pretending like she never existed, and I have to basically do the same thing so nobody at home gets mad at me. The main issue is, a week ago, my dad's best friend and his husband, who I've met a couple times and stayed with the first couple nights after I reconnected with my dad, while he was trying to figure out how to bring me home, heard about me being locked out of the house and asked if I wanted to come stay with them for a while. I want to say yes so bad, because anywhere has to be better than where I'm staying now. But I know it's going to cause issues with my dad, because he ruined his entire relationship with his family to be able to bring me home so I wouldn't have to go into foster care, and it's going to seem incredibly ungrateful. I know my dad's trying, he really is, but I don't know what I'm going to do if I have to keep living in his house until I turn 18. How do I broach this subject with him? Is trying to move out even worth it at this point, or should I just toughen up and deal with it for the next year and a half? You're living in a hostile environment. With time, that will really affect your health negatively. You've been offered a safe space to live. Don't walk, but run in that direction. Your dad is the adult. Let him deal with all the negative consequences. Put yourself first. I'm really sorry about the loss of your mother. Honestly, I feel like it probably already is. I'm so tired all the time but can't sleep, and somehow still can't get out of bed in the morning. I feel like I haven't even gotten a chance to breathe or process the fact that my mom's dead because there's been so much change so quick. Which is also kind of why I don't want to have to move houses again. I am so sorry. Your father's wife and your half-siblings have a lot of misplaced anger. Do they treat your father the same way they've been treating you? Although in relation to the advice you're seeking, that's neither here nor there. I would definitely take your dad's friends up on the offer, even if it's just for a short while. You need to get out of that toxic situation. You also need to have a frank talk with your dad. Is he backing you up in these situations, or does he stand by and let them treat you like that? You're going through a rough time, and it must be terrible to feel like no one is there to support you. There was definitely a lot of tension between my dad, Amy, and Susan, but that seems to have mostly gone away after the first couple months. Mark seems still angry with him, but it kind of feels like they just heard all that anger on me. I've tried talking to my dad about it, at least a little, but there aren't a lot of times where it's just the two of us and I don't feel comfortable saying anything in front of everyone else. Nobody really does anything to me in front of my dad, except the language thing, which he does try and stop every time he catches it. But Mark and Susan usually just do things behind his back to hurt me, and I think my dad doesn't want to believe that his wife and kids are capable of treating me like that. Now for the second update. It's been about a week since I talked to my dad, and I've had a couple people message me about an update, so I figured I'd give one. For those who didn't see my original post, I, 16 male, had to move in with my dad, 47 male, and his family after my mom died, and things have been extremely strained. The worst incidences being my half-brother ripping pictures of my mom up, and my dad's wife leaving me locked out of the house. So I was given the offer to move out by my dad's friend and his husband, both 30s male. I followed a couple people's suggestion and texted my dad's friend that I wanted to leave, and they ended up suggesting we all go out to lunch. I think they could both tell how nervous I was around my dad, and my dad's friend John ended up being the one to bring up the idea of me moving out. My dad seemed completely blindsided by it and asked why I wanted to move out. John and his husband Ben reminded him about everything that's been going on at home, and I just kind of sat there. My dad seemed really upset, and it made me feel terrible because I already felt guilty about leaving. But then he just asked if I really wanted to go. I said yes, and he just immediately agreed. It kind of hit me that I wanted him to try and fight for me, to say sorry for everything that has been letting happen, and for my dad to try and keep me at home. But he just let me go like it was nothing. It's been hard after my mom died, and my dad's the only family I've got left, so it really didn't make me feel any better about leaving, even though I don't have to deal with my dad's family anymore. Ben took me back to their apartment while John went with my dad to get my stuff from the house, and they had set up their extra room for me already. He apologized that they hadn't been able to do this sooner, and that they hoped I would like living with them. John came back with all of my things, and they kind of gave me time to decompress. I ended up sleeping for almost 16 hours because I was so exhausted. Over the last week, they've been really nice about making me feel at home, and have talked to me about getting me into therapy to deal with losing my mom, and everything that happened at my dad's house. They're also trying to figure out how to move me into a different school, so I don't have to deal with my half-sister and everyone that knew my half-brother. It's the first time in months that I feel like I can actually breathe, and I don't feel like I'm constantly on guard. My dad hasn't texted me much or reached out in the last week, so I don't know what's going to happen with him. But for now, I'm safe, I guess. So that's what happened so far. Thanks for everyone that gave me advice and wished me well. It's been really hard lately, and it made me feel less alone. Edit: a quick update over the last 24 hours or so. Ben's sister somehow saw this and sent it to him, so he and John came in and asked. They never heard about a picture incident, and apologized that they hadn't asked to get me out sooner. They had no idea how bad it was, and said I can stay as long as I want or need to. I realized then that I hadn't really said thanks to them because it's been so crazy. So I told them how much I appreciated having the place to stay. It was a really emotional moment, honestly, and I'm glad it happened. They did think it was funny that they've been called everything from my roommates to my new landlord, so that's helped soften the mood a little. I'm sorry I haven't been able to respond to many comments. This feels really overwhelming, but I just wanted everyone to know that the support means a lot. Thanks. It sounds like you are in a good situation after being in a very bad one. It was good you moved out, as your dad was not likely to change his wife and children. Definitely go to therapy. You went through a lot, and it sounds like John and Ben are good people. Maybe they have a little experience with tough family situations and can be there to help you. You can definitely now rest and then be able to get back up in a situation that allows you to focus on your best future. I'm sorry your dad didn't work out, but after some time, you will be 1,000 times better off than if you had stayed. His family was abusive to you and you aren't the problem. Just a consequence of your dad's actions. However, you are your own whole human being and deserve happiness. His wife should know that. His wife shouldn't have been a bad person and treated you poorly, and thereby teaching her children to treat you badly because of her own unhappiness with your father. Your dad likely let you go because he knew he can't keep you safe from his chosen family and past choices. He should know that you don't deserve to live in that environment because of him. Hopefully he will send you money, even if he can't face you out of shame he has against himself. You are just a person. Rest up, heal, and go on doing person things. Internet hugs and head pats. Now for the third and last update. Hey everyone! I know it's been a while since I made my update post about moving out of my dad's house, and a lot of people have been asking for another update, so I figured I would give one last update. Things have been relatively quiet since I moved out. I transferred schools and started therapy a few months ago. John and Ben have been really kind about giving me space to grieve my mom, and I don't feel like I have to hide all of her stuff anymore. I managed to get a couple of the pictures digitally repaired thanks to someone reaching out to me on here. And while it's not the same, at least it's something. Family-wise, it's still hard. After my post blew up, it ended up reaching out to Amy, my half-sister. She said she had read all the comments and started feeling bad about everything that her mom and brother did. She ended up apologizing for what she had done and understood if I didn't want to forgive her. We texted for a while about all of it, and we've been in an okay place since that talk. I still haven't heard anything from Mark and Susan, but I don't really expect to either. My dad has come over to John and Ben's apartment to see me a few times, and we go to lunch about once a month. But other than that, I haven't really seen him much. John did tell me that about 3 weeks ago, my dad moved out of the house and got his own apartment. From what it sounds like, he and Susan aren't separating yet, but is giving her space. I tried texting him about it, but never got a response. Things are okay now, even though it's getting close to a year since my mom died, which will probably hard when it happens. Thanks for everyone that messaged me or commented. I'm sorry I didn't respond to everyone, but the response was a little overwhelming. I think the most upsetting thing out of all of this is that OP will never get those photos back. He doesn't have any more ties to his mother and doesn't have any way of asking anyone for photos of her, stories, or literally anything. All he has now is memory. And not disciplining Mark because there's no proof it was him? What, did Opie rip his own keepsakes? Right? Oh, it was a ghost. No, a-hole. It was the person who despised him and had access. You punish Mark for the destruction and for lying through his teeth. What horrible, crappy people. I'm just glad a 14-year-old sister was able to recognize she was being a craphead. I think I've read this before, but God, poor Opie. It's not his fault the dad was a cheater. Didn't even fight for Opie at all through the entire story. A typical pathetic cheater. Can't say I'm surprised at all. I'm still gutting for Opie regardless. He is a coward. He refuses to stand up for his child because he doesn't want the backlash for it. He should, rightly, tell them to be angry at him and not the boy who did nothing wrong, but he's completely spineless. And that lack of anything resembling moral or intestinal fortitude is destroying any chance he has of a relationship with Opie. I feel for Opie. The only people in his corner now were very nearly strangers. But I'm glad he has them because I don't know if he would have lasted much longer in a home filled with people who unjustly hate him or are embarrassed by his existence. Wait, so the loser dad moved out and separated from his wife and still hasn't come through for Opie? He's not even responding to their texts? That guy is an absolute piece of crap. What a waste of human being. He deserves every bad thing. He was happily pretending Opie didn't exist, till his mom passed and his existence was exposed. So what did you expect? Dude cheated, kept a child hidden, used said child as emotional shield when his family was angry at him, abandoned the kid with his buddies. He isn't cut to be a father, a husband, or anything really. Giving a great dawn to Ben and John is probably the only good decision he ever made.
Update. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my brother in our family barbecue cookout because of my daughter? Original post. So our family has this big barbecue cookout once every 2 months. People take turn in whose house is it going to be next. This time it is in our house. These events are really big in our family, almost like a festival. So everyone closer to us will come. Recently, my daughter, who is 13 years old, seemed really upset and tried to make it postpone or just to avoid it. Which is odd because she loves these family cookouts. She wouldn't tell me the reason until she finally did. She said she's not comfortable with her Uncle Frank, my brother. I asked her why she thinks like that, and she says he gives her weird vibes. Some things he does that really makes her uncomfortable, hugging her tight, holding her waist gently, always gives him excuses to be near her. She claims she caught him looking at her chest. He also makes comments like, "You are going to be a heartbreaker. You are turning into a really beautiful woman. You are mature for your age." Last cookout, he asked her if she has kissed anyone. When she was shy, he told her, "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. It will be our secret." I asked her would she be comfortable if we do not invite him, and she agreed to that. I did just that. I only invited my mom, my dad, my younger brother, and my sister. Frank knew that I didn't invite him. I just said what my daughter told me. Frank took it as an offense and said my daughter is lying. In fact, she was the one who always comes on to him. I told him I cannot have him around her. I'm sorry, but I have to respect my daughter's boundaries. The whole family's divided, but most of them took Frank's side. They think my daughter is just lying for attention. I can tell she's not lying because I heard her crying because she thinks her family hates her. I told her that is not the case and not to blame herself. My other brother said since Frank hasn't done anything, it would be unfair to uninvite him because what he said was just words, not like he meant it. And just tell my daughter to stay away from him if it makes her uncomfortable. The only person on my side is my wife. She's sure Frank is showcasing predator behavior towards our daughter. She was groomed when she was a teenager and says this is exactly how it starts. I don't know. I do want my daughter to feel safe. Frank has never shown any type of predator behavior. In fact, I heard him say a lot of times that pedophiles should be sentenced to death. He is overprotective of his own daughter. But on the other hand, I cannot ignore my daughter's feelings. Did I do something wrong here? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Your 13-year-old came on to me is about the biggest freaking red flag in the world. You are being good parents. And if your family takes a side, they deserve to be cut off. Not the a-hole. Who the heck could actually utter that phrase anyway? A predator. No one else has ever said a kid was hitting on them in defense of smarmy comments. Plus, with the penalty of being accused of being a predator, why would you risk it and argue for continued invites? If nothing really happened, he'd say, WTF, I'm going to stay away from your house until you get to the bottom of that, because I'm not down for being labeled a pervert and going to jail. I really think you should seek counseling for your daughter, as those are serious accusations. You'd never say, but she came on to me first. Yep, even if it was that the daughter was saying things that were considered a come on or following him around at these barbecues, which she absolutely did not, any non-creep wouldn't face it like that. If he wasn't a creep, he would have gone to OP and raised concerns, because 13-year-olds coming onto their uncles would be a signifier of something else going on. If a 13-year-old was hitting on an adult, again, I don't believe this is true, something needs to be done to address what's going on. I honestly can't believe he said that she's coming on to him, and the rest of the family says she's making this up for attention. Like, we have two people. One of them said he's been saying creepy things and being creepily physical with her, and his response is, she's coming on to me. So we have two people who are both saying something is going on, and OP's family are saying she's making this up? Your wife is right. This is how it starts. And people like your family are the reason it continues to happen. I applaud you for having your daughter's back on this, because I didn't have anyone. My mother didn't believe me, and I grew up feeling alone and powerless. Not the a-hole, and keep your boundaries. Uncle Frank is definitely a predator. So sorry this happened to you. I never in my life thought Frank would do something like that. I wish this is just a bad dream, but it is not, and I want to protect my family, even if it's from my own family. My major red flag is him saying that she was coming on to him. That is just gross. All he had to say was that never happened, or I did not mean to come across that way. As a woman who was well developed at 12, that type of accusation usually implies that he was being inappropriate. Please protect her. That part got me too. He admitted there that he doesn't view the interactions as innocent. He's just blaming her for his own behavior. Classic groomer got caught behavior. It's gross, and OP needs to keep his daughter far away. Now for the update. This isn't much of an update to my last post, but there was a big fight. I can't tell all the details, but I can say one thing is clear, that my brother Frankie will not be near my daughter. My daughter is very upset because of the fight. Some people are still calling her a liar and an attention seeker, but I can see how it is affecting her mental health. So, I decided to cancel the cookout. Instead, me, my wife, my son, and my daughter will go to a Korean barbecue instead. Hope this can cheer her up. I will give a full update about the whole thing later on. Take care. As a woman, I can tell you those creepy men who hold us too long and too tight, who ask us about if we have kissed boys, or say we can tell them it will be our secret, they destroy our sense of safety. Especially within a family. You did great. Thank you. Had a similar issue with Hansi uncle. I'm Korean, so we have even more strict rules on respecting older people in the clan. The cousin who was targeting with his affectionate eye hatched a plan where I would hug, kiss, and touch her in the same manner the uncle would. When some of the aunties and my grandma expressed discomfort, my afflicted cousin asked, then why is it okay for disgusting uncle to touch me like that every time he sees me? The uncle reacted the same way your brother did, by accusing her of being flirty. Grandma instantly woke up from her delusions. To this day, we have not seen or heard from said uncle. And all my grandma would say is it's taken care of, and that we won't be harassed by him. I do not think he's dead, but it's been 9 years, so I don't know. But anyways, it takes some overtly gross stuff to get the keep the peace family to finally get on your side. Until you frame it as a way for their possible harm and visualize it, they'll always opt to keep the peace. You and your cousin are very smart. Clever advice. I'm so glad your grandma understood your message. Now for the second update. Okay, it has been a hectic few days for us. Yes, I did take my daughter out for a Korean barbecue. She enjoyed it. Might have got a little sick because she thinks she can handle spice, but happy nonetheless. Well, the talk with my family didn't go so well. They were all defending my brother. They all think either my daughter was lying or trying to frame Frank because she was at that age of being a rebellious teenager. I don't see the point of where she had to lie. She had no bad blood with my brother. She would always say Frank was her favorite uncle. She has no reason to lie. So I didn't listen to them. I canceled the cookout and told them anyone who will call my daughter a liar or a bad name will never be invited to our lives. I said this especially to my parents. They believed me but still tried to defend my brother. Lastly, I talked to Frank in public, and he denied everything. He was insistent on my daughter being a liar and that she admitted to having a crush on him. I did not believe that. I told him to not come to our house, and if he wants to meet or talk to me, we will go in a public place. But he is never to be seen around my daughter. My younger brother has been quiet because his fiancée berated him for taking Frank's side. You see, she works with an NGO that helps women who are suffering abuse and assault. She came to our house and had a little chat, and explained things to my daughter that this is not her fault. I am glad my brother picked right. My daughter has been sad. She loved cookouts and barbecues, and now we might never attend because Frank might be there. She cries and thinks this is her fault. She even said she will apologize to Frank and take back what she said, just be done with it, because she doesn't want people to think she's a bad person. It honestly made me sad that she thinks like that. It is not her fault. She shouldn't apologize for something like that. She's still very much disappointed, and we will arrange a therapy for her. I don't want to lose my cheerful daughter over this. Frank's girlfriend did call me to curse us out, by the way, and she's blocked. That's it. I'm going to focus on my family from now on. I don't need people to blame my daughter instead of the culprit in my life. You are a great parent. Your family suck, however. I'm glad you're taking your daughter to therapy and working on her self-esteem. Frank sadly will trip up in the future, but it won't be with your daughter, and that's all you can control. Once he is caught and outed, remain no contact with his defenders, even if they try to apologize. They really, really suck. I know it's difficult, but continue supporting your child, even if that means going no contact with a few family members. Your brother is lying. It is so hard for a kid to report abuse. Have you ever heard an abuser or offender admit it? Yeah, me neither. I went and told when I was 14 and no one believed me either. Until other people told. I'm what therapists call the truth teller in the family. Support your child. Also, therapy is necessary for recovery and validation. Make sure you tell her you're sorry this happened and you will protect her from him. Why would a child lie? Also, on a rare occasion they do, there is a history of behavior that is indicative of lying. Good for you for supporting your child. She will remember that you did. They never admit it. My 14-year-old daughter was the victim too. She got out and immediately called the police and her dad and I. She woke the whole house up. Best friend's 22-year-old loser adult brother we didn't know had moved home, and his parents and siblings caught him trying to cover evidence. She went to the hospitals, did swabs, got DNA and everything, and his approach is still, it didn't happen, she's a liar. There are 2 more victims of his who've now come forward since, and he's still crying he's the victim of a conspiracy. Thankfully from behind bars while awaiting criminal trial. This sounds like my ex-brother-in-law. We booted him out of our life, and he got his first felony conviction over what he did to one of our nieces. He was allowed to plead to a lesser offense. His family rallied around him and convinced the mom of his next victim, his next girlfriend, that we were full of it and just out to get him. A giant conspiracy. We went directly to her to warn her as she had 2 teen daughters. He ended up violating one of the 2 and serving 5 years in prison for it. Good on you for believing your daughter, and screw all of the people that offend these predators. The fact he's saying she was hitting on him? He's a grown adult. Why didn't he bring this up to you? Also, maybe to catch him out, ask how she, a child, was hitting on him. It would probably show how much of a creep he actually is, and it might be very telling. Last story. Would I be the a-hole if I exposed my sister's affair with her boss to his wife, who is undergoing IVF? This is a moral dilemma, and I'm turning to the internet and this community for advice. I'm at a loss on what to do. My sister and I, both 32, have been no contact for about a year. Part of the reason for this, and my part at least, is her incredibly questionable morality. I'm not a judgmental or puritanical person at all, but I do have a moral compass, and have been increasingly bothered by her actions that are clearly harmful to others. She works a highly paid job for a large company in our capital city, and she's sleeping with her boss. Okay, she's lonely and I know she very much wants a loving relationship. Except that aside from being her superior at work, this guy's married. He claims that his wife has mental health issues, and because of this, isn't being a good wife to him. Their other major relationship issue is that he desperately wanted children, but she was on the fence, and they couldn't conceive without help. So on his insistence, she's undergoing IVF, while he's sleeping with my sister, his employee. To be clear, I don't know them. I've never met either the man or his wife, but I feel so awful knowing about this and not doing anything. Even though arguably, I owe them nothing or maybe even owe loyalty to my sister. Her job would be at risk if this came out. But I have been through pregnancy and I've experienced poor mental health. I guess I just empathize so badly with this woman even though I don't know her. So, I googled the company my sister works for and tried to figure out who the guy was. But he has a very common first name. I didn't know his last name, so I couldn't figure out who he was. My mom visited recently. She's still in contact with my sister and knows the whole situation. When I told her I looked the guy up, she immediately told me his last name and his wife's first name. She told me that what I do with the information is up to me, but the implication was that she also thought the wife should know. So now I'm pretty sure I've found both the guy and his wife online. What do I do? I really want to let her know what I know, but would she want to know? She might be pregnant already. Would it be better to just let it go? Plus, I'm pretty sure that if I did anything, my sister would figure it out, and it would be the final nail in the coffin of our relationship. I'm not sure if I care about that. If you were in the wife's shoes, what would you want? Now for the top comments. I personally would want to know before I got pregnant. If they weren't trying for a baby, I would say stay out of it. But this is a special circumstance. Maybe you can have someone else tell her anonymously so it doesn't land on you. This though, IVF is a freaking nightmare, and this woman didn't even want to have children. So not only is he emotionally blackmailing her into the hellish medical experience that is IVF for a pregnancy that she doesn't even want, he's freaking cheating on her while doing it. Opie literally has the chance to save this woman from an unwanted pregnancy and a lifetime of being tied to a horrible man because they have a child together. This, over and over. Tell the poor woman. She didn't really want to have children, and she's now being put into a position of likely becoming a single mom with a child she wasn't even sure of to begin with. Tell her. I can't even describe how much you should inform her like yesterday. Your sister is awful, and the dude even more so. I want no contact with my sister-in-law because she thinks sleeping with married men is acceptable because she's the one who is married and it's not her problem. I thought Opie was going to say her mom is trying to protect her sister, but the fact her mom gave Opie the info needed, with the understanding she can use it, tells me the mom also knows how wrong this is. I would put money on the husband growing distant during the pregnancy and eventually leaving the wife to raise the child on her own. OP, you are not the a-hole, and I hope you can save the woman from additional pain of IVF treatment and an unwanted pregnancy. All these people saying you're the a-hole would absolutely want to know if it were them. Don't listen to them. The wife should know if she's about to raise a baby he wanted by herself. Just make sure you have the right guy. Sounds like your mom has the right guy. That's exactly the point. They're cut from the same cloth and only care about themselves. Not the a-hole. Every single human being deserves to know if their consent is being violated, and your partner is sleeping with someone else without your knowledge or consent, and potentially exposing you to STIs as a result, is 100% a huge consent violation. She has a right to know that her husband is doing her dirty, and if you're the only one who's willing or able to tell her, then I say freaking do it. Cheaters deserve to have their world burned down around them, and the partners they cheat on deserve to know the truth about the scummy people who are taking advantage of them. Especially in this case, where he's basically emotionally blackmailing her into a barrage of hellish medical treatments in order to conceive a pregnancy she doesn't even want. You can save her from an unwanted pregnancy and a lifetime of being shackled to a scumbag because they share a child.
Update. My girlfriend dated me because of a dare. Original post. My girlfriend, 17 female, and I, 18 male, have been dating for 5 months. Before we started dating, I had a crush on her for roughly a year. It was quite well known, since one of my old friends spilled it directly to her and her friends. They giggled for some time, but she never made a move on me or spoke to me about it. We're just classmates and darn close. For New Year's, she hosted a birthday party for her 17th birthday. I was overjoyed and happily came. It was a great party, though I was mostly off to the side since my old friends were mainly mingling with other people. A few days afterwards, she came up to me and asked me to meet after school. We agreed at a park, to where she confessed she had feelings for me and wanted to be a couple. I was over the moon, and we began dating that day. Our relationship was pretty solid. We didn't get too many fights, but she wasn't all that affectionate, which I was fine with. We never got intimate and mainly did small things like cuddling. Skip to 5 months. She was in my home and in the kitchen making herself a snack. Her phone was buzzing and she asked me to bring it over. Her settings are when you can see the first line of the message, and the phone automatically turns on whenever she receives a notification. I took a glimpse and it was one of her friends. I didn't take a good look, but it read something like, "When is the breakup happening?" which immediately attracted my attention. I unlocked her phone since I knew her password prior, and I read a few more messages where they were talking about a prank they pulled on me. I confronted her about it, and she went silent. After some prodding, she confessed. During her birthday, one of her friends dared her to ask me out. She got guilty when we continued dating for months upon months. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, with a simple date at a restaurant. Now they plan to hook me up with someone and frame me for cheating in the next few weeks, so she has a valid reason to break up with me. It also gave the other girls a chance to spread rumors about me. We got into a huge fight, and I told her to leave and that we are done. It's only been a few hours, and I'm absolutely devastated. I really like this girl, and she decided that it was a fun idea to pull on my heartstrings. I don't know what to do. Her things are still here, so I'm going to put it all in a box and leave it outside. She's been texting me, apologizing and trying to explain herself. I blocked her friend's number since they were also harassing me. I haven't blocked her number just yet, since we have to get each other's stuff from the other's houses. After that, I'll be going no contact. Luckily, the school year is almost over and I'm graduating, so I don't have to see her again. Still, I'm really upset. It hurts, man. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. I'm curious about how she's going to explain herself. She dated you on a dare, to toy with your feelings. She planned to frame you for cheating. Her friends were going to spread rumors about you afterwards. They targeted you and planned to devastate you emotionally, then ruin your reputation. Why? What possible excuse could they give? Crappy teenager games, that is all, but feelings can be caught. How do I know? Had the same game played on me in 1998. Anyhow, now married to her and happy. It may have started as a game, but may not have ended as one. But how could you still have feelings for someone who was so ready to play with and break someone's heart? Also, not a game. This is just plain bullying. Because maybe she really wanted to date him, but the only way she saw her crappy friends accepting it is if it was a prank. People are weird. Bro, you'll get better girlfriend, trust me. Just focus on yourself and please talk to someone like your friend. But what if it's like can't buy me love and she really likes him now? She should have told her friends to drop the nonsense. I doubt if she likes him, that the conspiring of a breakup would have continued. I'm sorry they put you through this, but you must protect yourself from all of them. And for that, you must capture and record every messages, /mails, /vocal messages, /phone calls, in case they want to spread rumors that will destroy your reputation. Those kinds of girl have no moral or conscience. They're heartless. You don't have to blame yourself or anything. Unfortunately, too many stupid people like them don't find anything else to do than making fun of others. They are empty people, so don't let them have power on you. It's not because that idiot dated with you for this disgusting reason will mean you can't date someone who will really care and have true feelings for you. They're trash, and thank God you caught her and her friends, so protect yourself from their actions. Yes, do this, please. Make sure everyone knows what these girls did. Also, is not making fun of Opie. They're literally ruining his life and playing with his heartstrings. That is messed up on many levels, and honestly, they should be in jail for this. Now for the updates. I woke up to see dozens of comments and hundreds of likes. Never would I ever expect people to be interested in my love life. LMAO. I read some comments and I'm screenshotting her confession to what she and her friends did. Only if things go south. I'm like guaranteed her friends are gonna pull something, so I'm gonna prepare. I'm praying I'm able to get my things back without a problem. My guitar is at her place. I ain't leaving that behind. Now for the full update. I honestly didn't expect to post an update so soon, but since I did agree to pick up my things today while also dropping hers off, I don't know why I expected nothing to happen. A lot of you pointed out about she may have fallen in love with me during our relationship. It doesn't matter if she did or not. She broke my trust, and I'm no longer attracted to her after yesterday. She allowed her friends to talk trash about me and plotted to destroy my reputation. She's weak-minded, and I'm not going to further date someone who will pick their awful friends over their romantic interest. Do I feel bad? A little, but I tried warning her and she did not listen. Now on to the actual update. So I went to my ex's house with a friend of mine, since in no way in hell I'm going there alone. It was right before school. I didn't see my things outside, so I rang the doorbell. Her father came out and handed my things while I gave him her things. He asked if I had cheated on her since she's crying in her room about it. So, yeah, more of you were right about them spreading rumors and trying to blast me. I explained I didn't, and even showed the screenshots I had on my phone. I ended up sending him through his phone number. He thanked me and said he'll take a look at it. I told him if he didn't believe me through this, then look at her phone. My friend and I left to go back home and get ready for school. I'm happy I got my guitar back, since it's really the only thing I valued. After school, I got a call from my ex's dad. He apologized for the accusations and found a group chat of the girls and the hookup plans. He said he was going to punish his daughter and find these friends' parents. He got their names already, and he's prodding my ex to know where they live. I told him he could use my screenshots as evidence to back me up. Props to the dad for being calm about this. That's really all that happened. I know her dad and he's a scary man. He's 6 feet in build. He can be very intimidating. And I know my ex will give up the information. It's only a matter of time the girls will fall. I'll be keeping an eye out since I have a week left of school. If anything happens, I'll post another update. I'm not interested in finding their socials and seeing if they already started spreading the whole cheating rumors. I'm sure they did. However, everything was fine at school, but now it's the weekend, so I may receive some backlash when I return. I honestly don't care. I already got accepted into a college, and I'm ditching this place. I just need to survive a week in graduation. My ex's dad will do all the heavy work. Kudos to ex's dad for handling it like a pro. Not many believe others over their own children, even after proofs. Glad things worked out well in the end for you. Cheers. Tells you a lot if the dad believed his daughter is capable of gaslighting and slander. He must have seen things while she was growing up. Not to mention he was Opie's age once and put himself in his shoes. He seized the opportunity to raise a daughter in this world, suitable to date and eventually marry. He also saw the opportunity to vindicate Opie. Well done. Out them before they out you. Let everyone know that they were going to ruin your reputation and possibly your future for fun and giggles. No one would want to risk catching jail time because these girls were bored and framed them for fun and giggles. Also, why is she crying? She was fine trying to frame you and ruin you. Probably caught actual feels in the process, or maybe even had actual feels from the start, but wasn't able to admit it to her friends. No one stays in a fake relationship for 5 months on a dare. Your last sentence shows exactly what you should be doing. Staying silent to your peers, talk to the adult that wanted to talk, and allowing the effects of her decision catch up to her. Little did you know it could turn out this way, but boy will she never forget. Good for you for being calm, detached, and level-headed while looking to the future. Remember, if you don't speak about this at school, mystery surrounds you and you have the power. Speak one word, and you lose it through the telephone game. Keep holding your head up high. Very impressed and glad you're going to make a really good boyfriend to someone that is authentically compatible with you. Cheers to college as well. You got this. Next story. The girl that rejected me is now stalking me, and it's getting creepier every day. This all started about a month ago. There was this girl, let's call her Sarah, 20, who I, male 19, had a huge crush on. We had some classes together in college, and even studied together sometimes. One day, I mustered up the courage to ask her out on a date, but she turned me down. Something about not wanting to ruin our friendship. I was a bit hurt, but respected her decision and tried to move on. Everything seemed normal for the first week or so after that. But then, I started noticing Sarah everywhere. At first, I thought it was just a coincidence. Maybe we had more common interests than I initially thought. Like, what are the chances, right? But as the time went on, this became clear that this was more than just chance encounters. Sarah would be waiting outside my classes, claiming that she needed to talk to our mutual professor, a professor who is pretty close to me and I look up to. She would show up at my favorite coffee shop just minutes after I arrived. She even accidentally bumped into me at the grocery store multiple times. The creepiest part, whenever we crossed paths, she would give me this intense stare that sent chills down my spine, instead of just talking to me about anything. I started getting paranoid and decided to confront her about it one day when she showed up at a library where I was studying alone. She acted surprised and denied everything, but there was something off about her reaction, like she was hiding something. Things got worse from there. One night, as I returned to my apartment after hanging out with friends, I noticed that my door was slightly ajar. My heart raced as I entered my home and discovered that someone had been inside. Nothing appeared to be stolen, but there were subtle signs of intrusion. Some of my belongings had been moved around or misplaced, as if whoever broke in didn't plan on stealing but rather tried to find something for me. Then came the messages. Random texts from unknown numbers containing vague threats and warnings. You should have given her a chance. She's not the one you should have rejected. She's watching you. These messages don't even make sense, because if it's the person I'm thinking, then I wasn't the one who rejected her. Anyways, I tried blocking the numbers, but that was pointless as new ones would always appear. So, I changed my numbers, and I even went to the police. But without any solid evidence or proof, they couldn't do much to help me, as they suggested. If the text is only evidence, then just change your phone number as someone can just be pranking you. However, I haven't told anyone about anything as I didn't want to look dumb because they will just say it's chances. Now, every day is a constant state of unease and fear. I've tried changing my routine and avoiding places where I might run into her, but she still finds me. I can't shake the feeling that she's always watching me, lurking in the shadows, as cringy as those sounds. I'm not sure what she wants or why she's doing this, as I tried talking about this with her already. All I know is that it's getting creepier by the day, and I'm not sure how much more I can take. Has anyone else experienced something like this? Any advice on how to deal with a stalker who used to be a friend? Edit. Let me provide some background context. Sarah and I have been friends for only a month. However, I started developing feelings for her due to her kindness. She helped me study for our class together and seemed to be the smartest in our class. We usually studied at my apartment. Sarah was aware that my door could sometimes be jammed, making it difficult to lock or unlock. I reported this issue when I first moved in, but nothing was done about it. As a result, I would avoid leaving any valuables in my apartment. Now for the comments. I would check around your apartment to make sure she didn't stick a camera somewhere if she was the one who broke in. How creepy. Sorry this is happening to you. I think there's some info online or YouTube that helps you check areas for hidden cameras. I think mostly to help people with Airbnb and such. Opie, maybe you can have your friend tail you a bit and try to get a video of her stalking you? I suggest setting up some cameras yourself to be safe. If this is real, that's effing scary. I'm sorry this is happening to you. Please do check for cameras and maybe an AirTag or other type of tracking device. When she bumps into you, are you carrying or wearing something you wear all the time? If you have a car, check it for a tracking device too. Could even be an app she installed on your phone or some location sharing SM app. If you do find something, leave it as is and go straight to the police so they can figure out who put it there. Take care of yourself. If you have an Android phone, you can download the AirGuard app. It's a free and open source app developed for research by a German university that monitors for tracking devices like AirTags that rely on connecting momentarily via Bluetooth to random supported phones to send tracking information. It scans periodically for tracking devices and will alert you if it detects the same tracking device near you in multiple locations in a certain time frame, and can connect to AirTags and play a noise on them to aid in finding nefariously hidden ones. You might have to fiddle with settings to get it to not be put to sleep by Android trying to save battery, but it alerts me about the AirTag I put in my own truck almost every day on my way home from work. I would start keeping a record of where you are when you see her and snap a picture to time and dates everything. I would start recording every conversation with her, especially the ones when you're asking her why she's there and for what reason. Especially if it's somewhere not necessarily commonplace. Definitely check your apartment for listening devices and cameras. If you find none, it's time to put up some of your own, especially around windows or doors where you can see who's lurking around you. If she's watching you, you might be able to see her car parked outside or literally hiding in bushes. If your apartment is higher off the ground, then focus on public streets that can still be legal to record. Most importantly, you need to tell someone you think she's stalking you, even if they think you're crazy. Ask them to observe her patterns of behavior if they know her. And if you don't, establish a safe word or code to use if you're in trouble or if she starts to pretend to be someone important in your life. She could start to turn others on you if she gets the first word, so don't let her. You need to start this conversation with evidence first before she does. Otherwise, it could be harder to defend yourself later on. Mini update. I have read your comments and I haven't found any hidden cameras in my place. If there is one, it's hidden so well that I can't find it. I cannot explain her behavior after all this, since I am not a psychological professional. I've heard stories about men being rejected and then stalking their love interest or ex-partner, but I've never encountered a situation like this. For now, that's all the information I have to share. Update. Am I the a-hole for not taking my wife's side and siding with my parents? Background. My wife, 28 female and I, 30 male, as well as my brother and his wife, went to visit our parents as we haven't seen them in a while. My parents, 57, had a box of $300 ginseng in the fridge to be given as a gift for their close friend's wedding anniversary tomorrow. We know this because it came up in conversation during lunch. They also told us to help ourselves to anything in the fridge, but to not touch the ginseng for obvious reasons. The problem came when a few hours later, my parents called us in a panic, saying that they couldn't find the ginseng and if anyone saw it. I didn't like it, and at first I thought they just misplaced it somewhere. However, they insisted that they both agreed to not moving it out of the fridge drawer for that exact reason. All of us denied taking it, and the conversation got more heated when my father started yelling that someone must have taken it since it only went missing when we came to visit. All of us continued to deny taking it, with my wife being really quiet, and my father said that if it doesn't turn up soon, he'd have to have everyone's belongings checked. That was when my wife admitted that she took it. Apparently, it was some popular brand that my in-laws mentioned, and she wanted to give it to them. And she thought that no one would notice since it was in an inconspicuous place in the fridge. My mother-in-law later called and said my parents overreacted over such an inconsequential thing and screamed at me that I was an a-hole for not defending my wife. The thing is, in my opinion, it wasn't a small thing. My wife literally stole hundreds of dollars from my parents and tried to lie her way out of it. While I agree that my parents shouldn't have started yelling and accusing us, I feel like my wife was in the wrong for taking the ginseng in the first place. This situation has caused a lot of friction, and we haven't been speaking since coming home. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Your wife is a thief that literally stole something of high value from your parents. She thought that no one would notice since it was in an inconspicuous place in the fridge. She is literally lying. As you mentioned, this topic was brought up during lunch, that it was an expensive gift, not supposed to be touched. My mother-in-law later called and said my parents overreacted over such an inconsequential thing and screamed at me that I was an a-hole for not defending my wife. They are the a-holes for enabling this lying and stealing behavior. Not just that, but mother-in-law was the intended recipient of the stolen goods. It's not a surprise she would scream at Opie for getting in the way of her thieving daughter stealing for her benefit. This didn't happen in a vacuum. Oh yeah, in-law is just angry to lose the very expensive item. Not a-hole, and sheesh. I don't even know how Opie should address this. This is a big betrayal and a crime, but it must be addressed. Seriously, would you be comfortable living with such a person? She's clearly untrustworthy and selfish to the point of being pathological. Your wife literally stole a $300 item from your parents, and her and mother-in-law are mad she got caught. Honestly, if my husband did that, I'd be having a long think about continuing the marriage. I wouldn't even need to think about it. Instant divorce. If she's willing to lie over a box of ginseng for such selfish reasons, she clearly doesn't love or respect me or my family, and I'd never be able to trust her about anything again. I wonder what else little Miss Sticky Fingers has helped herself to in other people's homes. Yeah, it was odd to me that parents were babysitting this item since they got there. I thought it would turn out the wife moved it, and they were being really precious about it, and maybe she touched it. Now I wonder if wife isn't always shopping around when she visits his family. 100%. Honestly, it would have me rethinking the marriage, since she's revealed herself to be a liar and a thief, and I don't blame your parents for yelling. Now for the update. After making the post, I thought a lot more about the situation. I realized after reading the comments that this indeed wasn't a one-time situation. Things in our house like face creams, kitchen utensils, and even household tools would go missing, and I would just believe my wife's excuses. I feel like such an idiot for not realizing sooner, and honestly can't believe she took advantage of my trust like that. I guess a part of me refused to believe the truth, which was how she thought she could get away with it this time. When I brought up divorce, she immediately threatened to call the police to arrest me for DV when I had never laid a hand on her like that, so that I couldn't ever find a job again. So needless to say, my lawyer is being called and this marriage will be over very soon. I have also apologized to my parents for all this awful behavior, and they have accepted. To be honest, this is probably the best ending, and I'm kind of glad the situation happened before it went on any longer. I'm incredibly done with my hopefully soon ex-wife and her side of the family, whose mother called me again yesterday entirely remorseless and called me a childish mommy's boy. Thank you everyone for all the help and comments. Also, to clarify a few things, from what I'm aware, mother-in-law was aware of my wife's actions, especially since she had done this sort of thing before. Taking things from our house to give to them, I didn't see anything wrong with it since neither of them like my parents. And since it was going to be a short visit, like 2-hour stops, she thought no one was going to notice the missing ginseng before we left. I want a divorce. I'm going to call the police and tell them that you abused me. And now I'm gonna divorce faster. Well, this is coming from a child who stole a $300 gift right out of the fridge. Not the brightest apple in the bunch. Like many commenters on the original post, I thought this couldn't be the first occasion, since the dishonesty was so brazen and mother-in-law's defense so shameless. Hope you will be well rid of her. I hope the divorce goes more smoothly than it started out. Nope, it won't. She will make a whole lot of drama out of it. She's a pathological liar and a kleptomaniac. What a terrible person. I had a friend like this back in high school. Would just steal things from my house and act like it's no big deal. Mostly small things like stuffed animals, mechanical pencils, erasers, knickknacks. I finally had enough though when she stole some jewelry that my grandma gave me that I told her was important to me. She claimed she didn't steal them, but then wore them to school the next day. I ripped it off her neck and we stopped being friends. She thought no one was going to notice the $300 wedding gift that they literally had just talked about with them. That sounds like the kind of excuse that a little kid makes when they get caught sneaking food from the pantry. Sounds like the sort of behavior had been enabled by her mother her whole life. She probably rarely faced actual consequences for it. My theory is that she was actually taught to do this by her parents. Stealing is bad unless you're doing it for your parents. Also, stealing for us is how you earn our love. Next story. Am I the a-hole for ignoring my ex-husband's new wife? I was married 21 years and have 3 children. When my youngest was 14 months old, I discovered my husband was cheating. I was devastated and wanted to try and save our marriage. So I asked him to go to therapy so we could save the marriage. He told me he didn't want to save the marriage. 3 days later, he moved out. 3 years later, I filed for divorce. He was living with a woman he had an affair with, so I was given physical custody of my 3 children. He was to arrange with my older 2 kids directly for visitation. My older 2 were 14 years and 16 years old, while my youngest was around 3. We agreed on a schedule, alternating holidays, and he would get her every other weekend. From the start, he never kept this arrangement. One weekend here, a couple months later, another weekend. His hours changed where he worked, so I agreed to change the arrangement. All I asked was for him to give me 48 hours notice when he wanted to get her. He would text me at 11 p.m. Friday and ask to get her at 7 a.m. Saturday. I would not agree to this because most of the time I had plans already. In the next few years, he would see her like 3 times a year. Then fast forward to 3 years ago, he completely stopped getting her. No reason, no text, nothing. He never even calls or texts on her birthday. A week ago, his new wife texts me and asks if her daughter, who is his daughter and my daughter's half-sister, can call my daughter. I have yet to respond. He now has 2 other children with this woman and I've met her like 3 times. I feel really angry about her contacting me when my ex hasn't said a word to me or his 3 children in 3 years. He has not spoken, called, texted my 2 older kids since the day he left. I feel like he has put no effort into contacting my kids. I'm angry that my youngest has had to grow up without a father, but I don't want him to come in and out of her life and continue to be a flake. I feel like he should have contacted me. What would I do? Am I the a-hole for not responding and ignoring his wife? Not the a-hole. Add another vote to the ignore pile. Shifting co-parenting to a non-parent is not something that you should accept. It's one thing if everyone has sat down and the new spouse has been added to the co-parenting dynamic. But this is him just being a crappy dad. There's nothing but problems and bull-dookie for you if you engage with this person. Deal with the kid's dad and only the dad, for your daughter's sake. When she's old enough to make her own decisions and decide if she wants to deal with a step-parent or half-siblings, then the new wife can deal with her directly. I get not wanting to cut her off from siblings, but her dad pretty much abandoned her, so it's not like she's close to them. Agreed. Also, having half-sister who gets her dad 24/7, talking to the daughter who has been practically abandoned by said father, may not be in your daughter's best interest. It's hard to have half-siblings talk about the wonderful things they do with their absent parent. The fact that her half-sister is more interested in her than her own father is so sad. Yes, this is true. Even when my 2 older kids talk about their father, my youngest gets upset because she has had a totally different experience with her father. Block her and contact a therapist for you and your children for not letting their sick game get all of you. Make sure to note everything that happened the past 3 years, him not coming, etc., and continue for the future just in case. You are a wonderful mom, and even if it's hard, your kids and yourself are gonna be okay. There's a lot of us who grew up with sperm donors who had abandoned us for their new family. But with good support, it's possible to move on. So focus on yourself, build a happy home, heal and move on. Time to find a real one for you. P.S. Contact your lawyer about this abandonment. My ex did this to my daughter. He even convinced his entire family, including his stepsisters who were my best friends for years, that I kept her from him. He died when my daughter was 15. And she hadn't seen him since the age of 3. Good riddance. Last story. Am I the a-hole for making my partner choose between me and his mom? I, female 34, have been with my boyfriend, male 38, for the past 3 years. He has a crazy ex, Jane. They have been together on and off since they were 15. Last time they broke up was about 5 years ago, when he made a point to both families that it was final. Both his mom and dad consider her to be a family friend. She lives 5-minute walk from their house. From the first day, his mom made known to everyone, especially me, that she doesn't approve. She has also invited Jane to every family gathering, despite him asking her not to. Together with Jane, his mom would make comments at my expense. I know he loves his mom, and I would never disrespect her in her home, so I always took the jab silently. She would also give Jane a spare key to his place, and more than once, he came home to find her in his bed. One of the reasons I insist on having my own place is I'm not comfortable with his family, mom, having a spare key to a place I live in. There have been numerous instances where both would drive me to the point of tears. And on more than one occasion when I left the event early because of it, to his credit he always left with me, and his mom always blamed me for dragging him away. My breaking point was last month, at his birthday dinner at his family home, when his mom had one of his nephews bring me a cookie that had coffee in it. I'm allergic, severely, and his family knows. I was lucky enough to notice before I swallowed a bit and spit it out. Still, I had to use my EpiPen. His mom kept saying that I should go home and rest because I was dampening the mood. He said if I left, so will he. Then I said that I can't do it anymore. I can't put up with the comments and Jane being pushed in his lap at every chance, but that I can't deal with them essentially trying to poison me. His mom said it was an accident, but I didn't believe it, and said that I can't be with him as long as his family is part of his life, since they enable the behavior. He said goodbye to them, and we left. A couple of days later, he told me his mom admitted that the cookie thing was deliberate, but that they didn't think it was as severe as I claimed. That she and Jane just didn't want me there. His dad, brothers, and sister have all come to visit and apologized for their part, so we agreed to start fresh. Last weekend, we had a barbecue over at my place, and we invited them all. His dad and his sister both asked if his mom can come. My boyfriend said he doesn't want her there, but as it was my house, it was my call. I said I'm sorry, but she just isn't welcomed. His family and friends have been divided now. Some say I'm within my right, and others are saying I'm an a-hole because I'm not just making him choose between his mom and me, but also all of them. I said I never asked them to choose and pointed out his mom still hasn't apologized to me. But they say by inviting them and not her, I'm essentially forcing a choice. So am I an a-hole? Mom tried to kill you. He needs to go no contact for a while to work on your relationship. If he doesn't, you will never be happy as mom will never change. Leave if he doesn't. I'm flabbergasted by the blasé way in which mom admitted to trying to kill her because she and Jane didn't want her there. What the actual heck is anyone in his family thinking downplaying that insanity? Also, the day my mom aids a stalker/trespasser with gaining access to my home is the day that I stop allowing her any access to my life. If he isn't willing to go full no contact and stop this nonsense, then end this relationship, Opie, before they kill you or make you lose your sanity. Right? I would be pressing charges. This is literally attempted murder. Opie, you are not the a-hole. And if your boyfriend isn't on board going no contact with his mother after she tried to kill you, you need to leave him in the dust. I can't even believe the audacity. His mother tried to end you. If he loves you, that should be reason enough for him to go no contact with her and anyone defending her. In fact, why haven't you filed a police report? Change the locks. Make sure his mother never has a key and make it clear she's not welcome where you are. Not the a-hole. The irony of it all is, he is a cop, his dad was a cop, and one of his brothers is also a cop. We did briefly discuss filing charges, but I feel like that would be it for his relationship with his family and just don't want to cost him that. Also, he has changed the lock several times. However, a couple years back, he had a really rough time with dealing with something that happened at work, and his family insisted on a key so they can come in and check on him if he goes down the dark hole again. He's 38, and his mommy still pushes him around? He's not worth it. Not the a-hole.